There are phrases that may seem harmless, but in a woman's mind, they can trigger something even she doesn't understand. She doesn't think it, she feels it, and once she feels it, she can't help it. Female attraction doesn't follow logic or morals. It comes from an impulse that doesn't distinguish between what's right or allowed. That's why a woman can have a partner, children, a stable life, and still feel an emotional and physical tension toward another man. It's not a choice, it's a reaction. And that exact point, where emotion overcomes reason, is where most men either fail or spark desire without knowing how. Many men believe attraction is achieved by talking too much, insisting or seeking approval. Others, out of fear, hold back so much they vanish from a woman's emotional radar. But the secret lies in understanding how her mind works and how to activate desire without touching, insisting, or begging. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 forbidden phrases that awaken desire even in a committed woman, because they don't appeal to her logic, but to her emotional instinct. Phrases that place you in the role of the man who doesn't need, but provokes. And finally, a 6th phrase designed to trigger deep mental attraction and show you how to handle it with ethics and intelligence. If this is your first time here, my name is Celia. I've spent years helping men understand female psychology and build connections based on attraction and respect. On this channel, we don't talk about tricks, we talk about mindset and behavior. Stay until the end, because the last phrase not only reveals how to spark desire in a woman, but also how to stay emotionally in control when that desire appears. Let's begin. Most men try to understand a woman through reason, as if her decisions were always the result of a mental calculation. But female attraction doesn't come from the mind. It comes from the body, emotions, and impulses. It's not an intellectual process, it's biological. It's a mix of chemistry, energy, and unconscious perception. That's why a woman might say she's looking for a calm, stable, well-mannered man, yet ends up desiring the one who challenges her, confuses her, and makes her feel something she can't explain. Her attraction is born from movement, from the sensation of being alive, not from logical reasoning. Now, the question that inevitably arises is, why can a married woman feel desire for another man? Before we move on to the 5 phrases that ignite that desire, we need to answer this question with complete honesty, because understanding its root is what gives meaning to everything that follows. There's a truth many men don't dare to accept. A committed woman can feel attraction for another man, even if she loves her partner. It's not a matter of morality, but of emotional stimulation. The love that sustains a relationship doesn't cancel out desire. It balances it. But when that desire fades or becomes predictable, her subconscious starts searching for a spark to wake her up. And if you show up with a different energy, with presence, humor, and mystery, you can awaken in her a feeling she thought was gone. That mix of curiosity and danger that marriage, routine, or stability no longer offer her. It's not that she's looking to be unfaithful, it's her biology reacting to contrast. The female brain links attraction to emotion, and emotion to novelty. When a man projects calm and self-control without needing her attention, that difference feels magnetic. We've already seen that attraction doesn't follow logic. Now we understand it also doesn't depend on social status or relationship status. She may have a husband, but if she feels that emotional vibration with you, her mind goes into conflict and her body responds before she even notices. Attraction isn't a choice. It's a chemical impulse that arises when something in you awakens a feeling her environment doesn't. That's why it doesn't matter if you're just chatting, exchanging a glance, or greeting her with a slightly different smile. When what you project is controlled masculine energy, her body registers it as something rare, something uncommon. At that moment, she stops seeing you as just another man and starts imagining you without meaning to. This isn't about invading her life or creating conflict. It's about understanding that feminine desire doesn't disappear by choice, it shifts with the emotional environment. And if you embody a presence she doesn't find in her partner, that quiet strength, that calm curiosity, that tone that radiates confidence, it awakens the inner contrast that gives desire its life. When a woman feels that, she often gets confused. She might tell herself it's just friendliness or that she simply likes you. But the truth is, there's an older, more primal part of her that reacts to the natural impulse of being desired by someone who doesn't need her. That's the key point. When a man doesn't try to take her, but simply enjoys the connection without pressure, his energy stops being invasive and becomes fascinating. A mature man doesn't give in to temptation or ego. He understands the difference between sparking attraction and breaking a bond. He knows he can be the reflection of what she longs for without trying to possess it. That ability to stay in control, even in the face of obvious tension, is what makes him a man who inspires both desire and respect. Understanding this gives you power, but also responsibility. The power to evoke emotions no other man can, and the responsibility to do so ethically without using attraction as a weapon. Because when you understand that even a married woman can desire you, the real challenge isn't getting her to act. It's staying centered and clear-minded. That's what separates a true seducer from an impulsive man. The first masters the game, the second gets lost in it. And it's from that exact place that the next key comes in, a simple yet profoundly effective phrase that redefines the way a woman sees you. When a man says, "I'm not trying to convince you of anything, I just want to understand you," something shifts in the atmosphere. She lets her guard down. Her body stops seeing you as someone who wants something and starts sensing a different kind of presence, a man who listens without pressure. This phrase disarms the most common defense mechanism in a woman's mind, the suspicion that a man is seeking her approval or hiding an ulterior motive. Instead of trying to persuade her, you give her permission to be herself. That emotional freedom creates instant connection. A woman isn't attracted to the man who pushes, but to the one who understands. And this phrase opens a direct door to her emotional side. So far, we've understood that attraction can arise even in a committed woman. Now we move on to how to trigger that emotional response with words that don't sound seductive, but empathetic. When you say, "I'm not trying to convince you of anything," you're showing her that you don't depend on her reaction, that you don't need her approval or desire. In that moment, she feels she's in front of a free man. Female desire grows when it senses masculine freedom, not insistence. This phrase is powerful because it combines genuine curiosity with emotional detachment. You're showing her that your interest isn't in changing her, but in understanding her. And that, in a woman's psychology, is a deep form of respect. Often, a woman doesn't want to be understood to be right. She wants to feel seen, validated, and accepted without judgment. When a man achieves that, he becomes emotionally rare, almost unique. Picture a simple scene. She's talking about something that's bothering her, maybe work or an issue with someone close. Most men would interrupt with advice or solutions, but you just look at her, and when she finishes talking, you calmly say, "I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I just want to understand you." In that moment, her body breathes differently. She feels relief. She doesn't feel invaded, she feels held. And that feeling, for a woman, is deeply attractive. The key is in the tone. Said calmly, this phrase doesn't sound like a tactic. It feels like presence. It conveys strength without aggression, interest without anxiety, attention without need. And that triggers a clear reaction. She begins to open up, to trust, and her energy softens. That softness is the fertile ground of desire. Because when a woman feels emotionally safe, she allows herself to connect with her natural impulse without fear. What makes this phrase special is that it doesn't speak to her mind, it speaks to her emotion. It allows her to relax in your presence without feeling analyzed or judged. And when a woman feels free in a masculine space, desire flows effortlessly. It's a subtle balance between firmness and understanding. That's why men who master this energy don't need to say much. Every word becomes an invitation to feel understood. Remember, it's not about saying the phrase, it's about embodying its meaning. If you truly want to understand her, if your gaze is calm and your body projects confidence, the phrase becomes truth. You're not performing, you're being. And a woman always feels the difference. Invite her to speak. Listen. Let her express herself. Don't rush to agree or to respond. Attraction grows in shared silence, in attentive eyes, and in that feeling that you're not judging her, you're getting to know her. When you achieve that, the interaction stops being just a conversation and becomes a connection. Take a moment to breathe and reflect on everything you're learning. If this message is helping you see your relationships more clearly, I invite you to subscribe, like, and leave your name and country in the comments so I know where you're listening from. I read every word because behind each comment there's a story, a journey, and a man growing. That's what gives meaning to this work and keeps this community alive. If you feel like it, you can also share your personal experience or a piece of advice from your own path. Your words might be the guidance another man needs to read today. With that said, let's get back to the topic, because the right words don't just lower defenses, they awaken desire. This phrase is an emotional trigger disguised as a compliment. I like the way you think, I didn't expect that. What makes it powerful isn't the flattery, it's the surprise. A woman's mind reacts instantly when a man acknowledges something beyond her looks. You're not telling her she's beautiful, you're telling her she's interesting, that the way she thinks caught your attention. That, for a woman, has a much deeper effect. It makes her feel unique and validated on a level few men know how to reach. The power of this phrase lies in contrast. Most men stay on the surface, talking about her smile, her body, or her style. But when you say, I like the way you think, you take her somewhere else. You're not just seeing her as a woman, you're seeing her as a mind, as an energy. And when you add, I didn't expect that, you introduce an element of mystery. You're telling her she just surprised you, that she broke a preconceived idea you had. That small break ignites curiosity. She wants to know what you saw in her that you hadn't noticed before. We've already understood that attraction is born from emotion, not logic. This phrase does exactly that. It creates emotion. It's an emotional mirror that reflects her intelligence without testing it. You're telling her that her thoughts spark something in you, that she connects with you in a different way. And when a woman realizes her mind can stir something in a man, her ego awakens, but so does her desire. Because she feels she managed to touch something in you without having to show anything else. Imagine you're having a simple conversation about an everyday topic. She gives an honest opinion, maybe different from yours. Instead of arguing or correcting her, you look at her with interest, pause for a moment and say, I like the way you think, I didn't expect that. That pause, that calm tone, is the key. You're offering recognition without flattery, validation without submission. You're making her feel special without putting her on a pedestal. And that's where attraction begins, in the perfect balance between admiration and control. Women can easily sense when a man compliments them out of strategy. But when the compliment comes calmly, without rush or anxiety, it becomes a real stimulus. She can't help but wonder why she surprised you. She starts to see herself through your eyes, and in doing so, she awakens the desire to keep provoking that reaction in you. The conversation stops being rational and turns emotional. This phrase also conveys selectiveness. You don't say that to just anyone. You say it to someone who genuinely impacts you. That nuance communicates that you're a man with discernment, not easily impressed. In a world where most people try to please, you stand out by recognizing without begging. That combination of acknowledgement and detachment creates a powerful kind of tension. She feels you're interested, but she can't control you. When you learn to use this kind of phrase authentically, without acting, the interaction becomes light and natural. You're not playing a role, you're expressing genuine curiosity. And that naturalness is what draws her in, because behind every word, she feels steady, masculine, grounded energy. In short, I like the way you think, I didn't expect that, isn't a compliment. It's an invitation for her to open up more. It draws her to share her inner world, to keep talking. And as she does, without realizing it, you're creating the emotional space where attraction grows on its own. The next phrase is, I'm not trying to impress you, I'm trying to get to know you. Let me explain why it's so powerful. Most men enter a conversation trying to make an impression, wanting to stand out, to prove their worth. But when you say, "I'm not trying to impress you, I'm trying to get to know you," you flip the game completely. You show her that you're not competing, that you don't need validation. Suddenly, the roles shift. You're no longer the one trying to win her over. She starts wondering how she can stand out in your eyes. That shift in energy creates instant attraction because it breaks the usual dynamic where the man tries and the woman evaluates. This phrase communicates a different mindset, emotional security. So far, we've seen how words can open the door to female desire. This one throws it wide open because it carries a powerful message. You're not there to get something, you're there to choose from your own standards. In a woman's mind, that places you in a position of value. A man who doesn't try to impress radiates inner strength. It shows in his silence, his gaze, and his calm tone. And that intrigues her more than any compliment ever could. When a woman senses that a man isn't trying to win her attention, she starts seeking him emotionally. Her mind wants to understand why he's not acting like the others, and in doing so, she begins to desire him. That curiosity is exactly where attraction is born when she can't label you. If everyone else is trying to conquer her, and you're just trying to know her, her mind engages, and her body begins to respond. Use this phrase when she notices that you're enjoying the moment without trying to please. For example, if she says something like, "You seem really relaxed," or "You don't try too hard to talk," you can respond with a smile. "That's because I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to get to know you." What you've just done is set your emotional frame. You've shown that you don't care about competition because you already know who you are. You've shown control, that you're not seeking her validation, but a genuine connection. This phrase also clears away superficial tension. It removes the evaluation feeling and creates a more natural sense of intimacy. She stops feeling like she's on a date or in a conversation with expectations and starts feeling comfortable. That comfort, combined with the confidence you project, is the perfect space where emotional and physical attraction emerge. Not because you say something provocative, but because you show that you don't depend on her. A woman's mind reacts intensely when it senses coherence. If your words express calm and your body language matches it, a magnetic presence appears. Your steady breathing, your consistent eye contact, your way of listening, everything communicates that you're present, not needy. And when a woman feels she's in front of a man who doesn't need to prove anything, her desire grows because she perceives strength. Remember, the goal isn't to recite phrases, it's to embody them. If you say, "I'm not trying to impress you," while seeking her approval with your eyes, she'll notice. But if you say it with a relaxed smile and a natural tone, she'll feel it. Authenticity is what awakens real desire, because she doesn't respond to words, she responds to the energy behind them. This phrase sums up an entire philosophy. Don't compete, connect. Don't try to be the perfect man, be the present man. Don't try to win her, let her discover you. When you act from that center, you're no longer playing the game of conquest. You're writing your own rules, and that's exactly what makes her feel drawn to you. This next phrase is a double-edged sword, so use it carefully. "There's something about you that feels dangerous, and I'm not sure I want to know what it is." This phrase doesn't declare, it suggests. It doesn't invade, it provokes. The key lies in the word dangerous. In emotional language, that word triggers a mix of alertness and curiosity because it's not referring to real danger, but to an energy she feels yet can't define. You're showing her that you sense something intense in her, something not every man would notice, and that makes her feel seen on a deeper, more sensual, more emotional level. When a man says this calmly, without a forced smile, in a steady tone and with a composed gaze, it generates an instant reaction. She doesn't know whether to feel flattered, challenged, or intrigued, and that confusion is exactly what sparks desire. Up to this point, we've talked about building connection and trust. This phrase introduces mystery. You give her the sense that with you, things aren't entirely under control, and that triggers her instinct to want to explore more. Attraction is born from the contrast between safety and risk. You give her safety through your presence, but you unsettle her with your energy. The most common mistake men make is constantly seeking approval. They want everything they say to be accepted by a woman. But attraction comes from balance, from her not knowing exactly what to expect from you. There's something about you that feels dangerous, takes her out of predictable territory. You're not complimenting her looks or her character. You're pointing out something invisible, something she herself feels deep inside, but may have repressed. In that moment, she feels that you see beyond the surface, and that captivates her. Use this phrase at the right time, when there's natural tension. For example, after a smooth conversation or a long, steady gaze. Don't say it to fill silence. Say it when energy has already built up. The tone should be slow, almost as if you're thinking out loud. She should feel you said it because you felt it, not because you planned it. That authenticity turns the phrase into an experience. Psychologically, this phrase makes her feel alive. It connects her to her emotional side, to that inner spark that wants to explore the unknown. You're not promising anything, but you're suggesting that a story could begin. That sense of possibility is the engine of desire. In a woman's mind, danger doesn't always translate into fear. Sometimes it becomes emotional excitement, contained adrenaline. And if she associates that feeling with you, the desire will grow every time she thinks of you. But there's a crucial point: calibration. This isn't about flirting without limits or using tension as manipulation. It's about knowing when a woman is emotionally receptive and when she's not. The phrase only works when there's respect, connection, and trust. If the energy is mutual, the impact is immediate. If not, it can feel forced. Mastery lies in that balance. When you find that equilibrium, you don't need to say much more. A look after the phrase, a pause, and she'll do the rest. In that instant, attraction no longer depends on words. It lives in the shared tension. You set the rhythm, she follows. And that dynamic of direction and receptivity is what keeps the polarity between masculine and feminine alive. In short, this phrase isn't a trick. It's a reflection of emotional mastery. It doesn't aim to provoke, but to suggest. It's not a line, it's an invitation to feel. When you use it with authenticity and control, you project the kind of energy a woman remembers, even when you're not around. That soft sense of danger, the desire to understand you, and the certainty that with you, nothing will ever be boring. The sixth phrase is one of the most powerful because it awakens desire from the mind, not the body. It's the one that creates that silent bond she can't quite explain. The phrase is, "I don't know what it is about you, but you calm me and turn me on at the same time." Said in the right tone, it has an immediate effect because it reflects a duality the feminine mind recognizes, calm and excitement coexisting in the same feeling. You're communicating that her energy affects you, but without confessing, without asking for anything. You're sharing an experience, not a desire. That subtle difference changes everything. When a woman hears this, her emotional system activates in two directions. Part of her feels at ease because there's no pressure, and another part feels deeply intrigued. She knows something is happening, but she doesn't understand what. That confusion makes her think about you more than she wants to admit. You stop being just another man. You become an emotional stimulus. In her mind, that phrase keeps echoing because it makes her feel both desired and understood. So far, we've seen how each phrase triggers a different reaction: understanding, validation, curiosity, tension. This last one blends them all into a single energy, but it also requires control. Because if a woman is committed, the boundary isn't only ethical, it's emotional. The biggest mistake a man can make is using the attraction he generates to feed his ego. Maturity means using it to strengthen your presence, not to break a bond. Attraction doesn't always need to be acted upon. Sometimes it must be mastered. When you learn to handle that energy without acting on it, you become magnetic. A woman feels it. She senses the desire, but also your restraint. And that control is more powerful than any advance. She feels that with you, she could lose control, yet she also trusts that you wouldn't let her. That mix of danger and safety keeps her mentally connected to you, even from afar. Female desire doesn't just seek intensity, it seeks balance. When a man can convey calm while creating emotion, he becomes an experience. He doesn't need to touch her, he only needs to be present. It's in the way he looks at her, the rhythm of his voice, the way he observes her without hurry. The feminine mind feeds on those subtleties, not on obvious gestures. That's why, when you learn to sustain tension without breaking it, you leave a lasting mark. To manage attraction with a committed woman, you must follow an internal rule: never let a temporary emotion destroy a permanent value. True masculine mastery lies in controlling the impulse, not denying it. If you feel the connection growing, take emotional distance, not physical. Be kind, stay respectful, but let silence do its work. Desire needs space to transform, and if that space is defined by clear boundaries, it turns into admiration, not conflict. Emotional maturity shows in those moments. Any man can provoke desire, few can sustain it with balance. The ability to awaken emotion and at the same time protect it from turning into harm is the mark of a truly conscious seducer. That kind of man doesn't seek conquest, he seeks connection. And when a woman feels that, even if she's married, she knows she's in front of someone different, someone who could have her, but chooses not to. And that's where real power lies, not in what you make her feel, but in what you choose not to do with what you feel. A man who masters attraction without letting it master him becomes an emotional reference point, because he understands that attraction doesn't always need to end in action. Sometimes it must remain as energy, as respect, as the unspoken sense of what could have been but wasn't. That is the exact border where desire and awareness meet, and where true masculine magnetism is born. Any man can learn phrases, but only the one who understands their essence can transform the way a woman perceives him. Because it's not about isolated words, it's about energy. Each phrase you've seen here serves a different emotional purpose. One opens the door, another sparks curiosity, another validates, another provokes, and the last teaches how to master tension without losing respect. If you use them without awareness, they become empty tactics. But if you apply them with calmness and authenticity, they become tools that awaken genuine emotions. Attraction isn't something you chase. It's something you create through the balance between confidence and detachment. When you understand how the female mind works, you stop fearing it. You no longer get frustrated by what you don't understand, because you can see the logic behind the impulse. You realize she doesn't react to your arguments, but to how you make her feel. And the most interesting part is that when you change your energy, her reactions change too. Women don't desire the man who persuades them. They desire the one who moves them emotionally. And that power can't be bought or faked. It's built through presence, boundaries, and a clear mind. Thank you for staying until the end. If this content helped you better understand how to awaken desire with authenticity and respect, I invite you to keep growing with this community of conscious men. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. You can also leave a comment with your name and country. I love reading them and knowing where you're joining from. Every message matters, and every word you share is part of the purpose we're building together, creating high-quality connections rooted in attraction, trust, and values. That's all for today. Thank you for your time, your attention, and for choosing to become the kind of man who doesn't need to conquer to attract, because his very presence already inspires desire and respect. See you in the next video.